All right, we are live. Live to fight another day with SDP on MMA. I'm Shadow Don. This is Skylar Don. We are here yet another week to be able to give you some fight analysis and give you our upcoming picks for the upcoming big fights in the UFC. And we're excited. And this time we're going to switch it up. We're going to do a little. We're going to do our picks up here in the beginning, and then at the end we're going to actually go back and do some post-fight analysis on UFC Fight Night 117, I believe that was. Am I right?
Yep, St. Preux versus Okami.
Yes. And to start it off, I just want to let you know, if you're listening, we're happy you're here. I'm just going to throw this out there. We're going to do a drawing. We are going to put up a signed Michael Bisping card, and if you listen through the broadcast and drop in the comment section the fight that I am predicting for the fight of the night, just put it in the comment section. We'll take your name, drop it in a drawing, and before UFC, what is that, 217?
It'd be 217.
Yeah, the big one, man. The biggest, one of the biggest cards of the year. But anyways, before that fight, when we do that, when we do the picks for that fight, we'll do a drawing. And some lucky winner will get that card. So, like I said, be listening for the fight of the night, my personal prediction, and then drop that in the comments down at the bottom. And we'll automatically put you in that drawing. So, we are excited because we got some killer fights coming up. And as we sat around and discussed them this weekend, we realized what we didn't think was going to be a real exciting card is really probably going to have some stunners on it. So to get things started, we are starting off with, who is it? Matt Schnell and Marco Beltran in the flyweight division. So let's see here. We do not have any Vegas odds yet, just so you know, on the majority of the fights. We're a little bit early, or you could say Vegas is a little late. The only odds that we have that we're showing right now are for the last 4 fights on the card. So I guess not even really the full main card, but that's where we're at. So I'll get started, and then we'll just kick things off. Let me tell you about Matt Schnell. He's a former flyweight champion in Legacy. He had his debut in the UFC as a tough finalist in season 25. He's from Louisiana, trains at ATT. He's got a purple belt in jiu-jitsu. In his UFC debut, he fought Rob Font and went and watched that one at bantamweight. So he was fighting a little bit heavier, and dude, in that fight, he sustained a flash knockout from a front kick to the chin that you just gotta go see, because it's just it's a good fight. And then another from a knee to the face, and he still got back up, and then he got knocked out by ground and pound, all in the first round. And dude, it was just like, whoa. He trained with Henry Cejudo. He's got 6 of 10 wins by submission. I went and watched the fight with Hector Sandoval. That was another decent fight. He took a lot of big shots from Hector. He had Hector in a deep guillotine. At one point, Hector slammed him to the ground twice in a row, and when he got out, he finished Schnell with massive hammer fists and just, it destroyed him, and it all happened in the first round. He's got fast kicks. The dude throws. He's vicious, and he bangs hard in the clinch, and he's got a good tie game. With all that said, Marco Beltran, this Mexican guy, he came out of the Tough Series Latin America. He was one of 2 finalists that fought with. He fought with Jose Quinones, and he lost by unanimous decision. His last fight was with Dravidian Figueiredo, and I went and checked that out. That was from UFC 212. And dude just kind of showed a lack of experience on his back, but he did vicious elbows, and so I like that. He pulled himself out of a deep guillotine and had some decent ground and pound. It was a rough back and forth between the two of them, but in round 2, Beltran was saved by the bell, like right at the end. The referee jumped in and was like gonna call it. The bell rang, and believe it or not, when they went to the two corners, the referee ended up calling that fight. So that's a cool one to go see. I recommend watching it. His trading partner is Yair Rodriguez. So the dude knows his stuff. He's a heavy hitter. He's got good kicks, and he's real tall for this weight class because the guy was fighting. He fights in excuse me. My bad. That's Schnell who fought at bantamweight. Beltran. Either way, he's real tall for the weight class, and I'm putting my money on Beltran. I've got him by decision. How about you?
I'm going to go with you. I think Beltran's going to take it too. But the interesting thing for me in this fight is you got the same height from both of these guys, and if you go study film, they're used to fighting smaller opponents. So I'm anxious to see, what we're going to get from two really tall guys. But just to touch on what you said, Matt Schnell brings Muay Thai to the table. I love him in his clinch. He's got a great orthodox stance. He also has one-shot KO power, and he has unorthodox submissions too, which I really like that, and he's training that well at American Top Team. He's got a good ground base and a really big right hand, but in his last two fights, he was knocked out in the first round, and those were both of his UFC fights, his only UFC fights. And then you got Beltran, who's like really long and flowy, and you can see where he gets all those attributes from Yair Rodriguez. And like he likes to throw those crazy looking elbows. Then he's got a big counter left. My only thing with Beltran is his control sometimes. It falters down into the third and the back half of the second round, and things get a little bit sloppy. But he's considered the veteran here with just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 UFC fights, and he's won 3 out of the 2, and he beat Cheeto Vera. So I'm gonna go Marlon by decision. Decision.
Yeah. Beltran by decision. All right, that makes 2 of us. All right, next one. We got Thales Leites versus Brad Tavares in the middleweight division. I think this is going to be a killer fight. You want to go first on this one?
Yeah. You got Brad Tavares, the Hawaii native coming out of Extreme Couture and MMA development. He's got 4 KO wins, 2 submission wins. And the interesting thing to note here is 60% of his wins are by decision. He's fought guys like Leites, Theodoro. He lost against Robert Whitaker in the first round. He's fought. He even has a win over Lorenz Larkin, a decision win over him too. So, I like Tavares. There's something about that meat-headed grindiness that I like, and he's compact. He's got a lot of strength. He's just a powerhouse, and he's a powerhouse with crisp hands. So as long as you have that and a solid 3 rounds in you, I think you have a good shot at winning any fight. But you don't see a lot of guys that are real muscular like him at that weight that can go 3 rounds, and he can. He's got it in him. But this fight's tough because Thales Leites is the bigger fighter, and he's coming out of Nova União, but he's the older fighter. And if you go look at this kid's highlight reel, it's constructive, it's creative. His game is evolved in so many avenues, and it's hard to get a good read as to where he's at with that skill and his age, because he went on a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 on an 8-win streak. And then his last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 guys like Michael Bisping, Gegard Mousasi, Christoph Jotko. These are the guys he's lost to, and he went all 5 in 3 rounds with them. So he's one of those candidates that you can never sleep on. He's never been KO'd, and he's never been submitted. I'm going to go to Tavares. I'm not comfortable at all, though, on this pick at all.
Well, it's funny because I've struggled with this one, and let me just break down what I've kind of put in here in my notes. Leites, of course, being the Brazilian veteran, he a bit older. I mean, the guy's coming in at 36 years old. I love, you know me, I like Thales. I mean, I like everybody that pretty much comes out of Nova União. You know, that was a close loss to Bisping. You know, you just mentioned the people that guy's fought. Gegard Mousasi. I went back and watched the fight with Chris Camozzi. I don't know why that one pulled up, but dude, he had his way with Chris. In his last fight with Sam Alvey, he defeated Sam by unanimous decision, and it stayed on the feet the whole time, which completely shocked me.
Yeah, and I didn't like that at all. I think that he should have taken Sam to the ground and gotten the finish.
Yeah. Well, but you know, I think he was just trying to show that, look, I can stand with a striker too. Anyway, I was shocked. I really was that it stayed on the feet. Thales achieved only one takedown, you know, that whole time, but he showed such a good striking game and terrific feet work. And at his age, I'm just kind of left with my mouth open. Brad Tavares, 29 years old, winner of Tough Season 11, from Hawaii, fights out of Las Vegas, trained by Ray Shepo, world-class kickboxer, founder of World Series of Fighting. I mean, you couldn't ask for a better guy in your corner. That last fight you mentioned with Elias, how do you say that?
Elias
Theodoro. He wouldn't allow Elias to hold a dominant position in that fight, man. I was just like, I mean, he really showed that he had ground skills. After one round apiece, Brad dominated the last half of that, you know, that third round, and he ended up winning by unanimous decision. I thought it was a little bit closer, but whatever. He took a win over Nate Marquardt, excuse me. I watched the fight against Robert Whitaker, and he did get knocked out early in the first round, but that's easy to do with Whitaker. He's got the 5th best takedown defense in UFC middleweight. Yeah. And he fought Yoel Romero, and that was just another one where, you know, you saw a middleweight at the top class, unfortunately, have his way with him. And he really did. I was blown away at how easy Yoel just pushed Brad around. I also watched the fight with Ko Magdalese, Magales. I'm not sure how you pronounce that last name, but I watched that one because he's got that similar style to Thales Leites. And this morning, this is absolute truth because I wrote it down to remember it. I woke up this morning thinking about this fight, and I immediately thought of the third round in that fight with Magales, and I realized that if Brad shows up the way he did in that fight, he's going to win. And it locked me in, and I was like, okay, I'm going to give it to Brad, the younger guy, a little bit more hungry. And like you said, man, this dude's just racking up the competitors that, you know, are all over that weight class. And it just depends on which guy shows up. So if we said this last fight about... oh man, I can't remember which fighter we said if that fighter shows up, and he did, and he showed up, and I'll bring it up later because it'll be in my notes from that fight night. But
it'll be in the review later. But I mean, I think that it's interesting that you saw the same thing I did from is it Tavares? Am I saying that right?
Yeah, Tavares.
Yeah, when you go study his film, there's nothing that's like crazy about the kid or super drawing or fascinating about him. He's just got great fundamentals. He sticks in the fight the whole fight. When he's put in a bad situation or contested with adversity, he fights his way through, and he finds a way to make the fight dirty. And whether that's going against him or for him, he's gonna wear you out. And if you don't have 3 rounds in you, he's gonna take advantage of you in the third. So I just think it's really funny that you saw the same thing I did, because I was not gonna pick him until I saw that he stays real fresh for his size.
I'm right there with you. I'm serious. I switched that pick this morning because
I
did have ladies, so that's wild that we both did that.
Yep.
All right. The next fight is in the flyweight division. John Moraga versus Magomed Bibulatov.
Bibulatov, something like
yeah,
that.
something like that. Another Russian.
Yeah. Are you taking the Russian on this one?
No, yeah, I am. I always take the Russians. You know that, man, and they do me right. Yeah, I've got him by decision.
Oh man, even with one UFC fight in his pocket?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, I think it's going to be a great fight either way. You
Have you
got
seen that guy? Have you
Bibulatov.
seen him fight?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's Bibulatov versus Moraga. Moraga's 5'6", Bibulatov's 5'5". He's training at Akhmat Fight Team, and Moraga's been around forever. Been fighting the best guys in the world. Just to name the last three: Sergio Pettis, Pereira, and Benavidez, and all of those fights went to decision. So he arguably had a round or two in there. He's even fought John Dodson. He's beat Willie Gates. But yeah, it's because he caught three of those losses to Pettis and Benavidez and Pereira that it's kind of making people doubt Moraga. But I think this is a chance coming out of Arizona Combat Sports. I think this is his chance to show the world that, hey, I'm still there, or it's going to prove to the world that, hey, at 33 and what's his record, 17-6, that I'm on the downfall. I think this fight determines and projects his career in positive nature or a negative nature based on what he does with this moment. So I'm going to go Moraga, just with the experience. I'm just not comfortable going with, I mean, I know he's your Russian. I know he's 14-0, and I know he can fight. I'm just not comfortable with a guy coming in fighting this level of talent for your second fight in the UFC. Just seems like a bit of a jump. I could be wrong, though. We've seen crazier shit happen. So
Okay, so I'm going to say this. Everything you said is accurate and correct. I cannot argue any of your points. Moraga should win this fight. You know my history with the Russians. I went and watched a fight with Janelle Laza, and dude, the kid throws all kinds of stuff. I mean, everything. Throws great kicks. He's got an amazingly fast backswing. It blow your mind. I mean, it trips me out. Yeah, that backhand is just it caught his opponent every time because it's so fast. Yeah, and you know the dude's a Russian, so we'll see what happens. Moraga, I mean, what else can you say? You said it all. Dude's fought them all. Benavidez, Dodson, you named them. You know, Sergio Pettis. That fight. You know, that was a unanimous decision, but dude, it went the whole way. And
hell yeah.
Yeah, and they beat the hell out of each other. The last fight I watched versus Mokhtarian, you know, John had his way with Mokhtarian, winning by unanimous decision. And
he showed the world why he's there.
Exactly.
I really believe that.
Exactly. And, you know, he was talking possible retirement prior to the fight. And that's the only negative thing that I throw at him is if that's in his mind and somehow he's defeated somehow in his own head that he's actually washed up and ready to be done. It's going to be a great fight. Period.
By the way, I share a birthday with Moraga, so shout out to that
Another
guy.
one. Jeez, man.
I know that's like 5-6 fighters I share a birthday with, but yeah, he's one of them.
All right.
So you're going Bibulatov, what, decision?
Decision. Yeah, as always.
Okay. Wow, man, I don't know how to get a read because if you're a stats guy, if you're a numbers guy, Bibulatov has 7 decision wins and 5 submission wins, and then you go over to Moraga, and the only losses he's had in the last since 2014 have been by decision. So I don't know how to, and his wins are all 8 submissions and 7 decisions. So they're very similar in how they go about fighting. But yeah, I guess I'm gonna have to go decision. They're so decision based. So yeah, Moraga by decision.
All right. Next one, we've got heavyweights. We got Walt Harris versus Mark Godbeer.
Who you got? What are you doing on that one?
Oh, let me pull it up, and I will tell you. I am taking Walt Harris by knockout or TKO in round 2.
Decisive. No guessing on this one at all.
I'm pretty locked in that Walt's gonna knock this dude out. I just, when it'll be first round, second round, I don't know, but I'm pretty sure he's going to.
I think you're right. I think with 10 KOs, all of your wins are KO, by the way, for Walt Harris. And being 6'5" out of ATT. Yeah, I'm going first round KO.
What do you know about these guys?
I know that Harris can wrestle, and he's the strongest, biggest ape that you've ever seen in the ring. I do know this, though. He gasses hard.
Yeah.
He gasses real hard.
Carrying that weight, man. I mean, the dude walks around, I think, 265.
Yeah, but he comes right out of Homewood, Alabama, and you could tell he's got the Alabama mindset. Just a heavy hitter. Everything he hits you with, you're going to feel. You don't want to stand in front of him. And if you go look at the tape of Mark Godbeer, he's 6'4", but here's where I think the differentiation is for these big boys. You got Walt Harris coming out of ATT, training with arguably the best people in the world. And then you got Mark Godbeer coming out of Scottish Hit Squad. So what are the chances that Godbeer actually has the talent that Walt Harris brings to the table in that gym? And right. I think that your odds of that happening are really low. And I wasn't impressed with the win over Daniel Spitz in Godbeer's last fight. It went 3 rounds, and that's somebody that he should have easily put out. So, Walt Harris, first round knockout for me.
All right. Well, at least we're both seeing a knockout. Yeah, there's not really a whole lot there for me to add to it. Walt Harris, heavy-handed. He's a straight boxer. He's a striker. I enjoyed watching that fight with him and Chase Sherman, the Vanilla Gorilla. Shout out to Chase. Those two banged it out, and that was pretty awesome. I hated seeing my boy go down from the knee. It was just kind of it hurt. But yeah, that fight with Asker. That was another good one. And, yeah, man, it's going to be a banger. Godbeer, we were just watching a couple of his fights not too long ago because he was on the England bill, I think, is where we saw him the last time. Let me see, I'm trying to pull up his last fights. Yeah, the Daniel Spitz, that was in Vegas. It was the one in Ireland, in Belfast, against Justin Ledet, remember? That's why we were investigating Ledet, and yeah, man, Ledet pretty much showed that you just bang that man down, wear him down, and then he just literally took him down with ease and took his back, choked him out. I think that was rear naked choke, and
I don't even think Walt's going to need to be worried about breaking him down this fight. I just think they're two different levels of talent. I really do. I mean, who knows? He could, but Walt's got so much overwhelming strength. He's a lot like Derrick Lewis in the sense that all you got to do is connect.
Yeah.
Like all you got to do is connect, and your chance. He should know his chances of doing that in the third round are slim to none. So you gotta put it on him.
Well, this will be his Godbeer's third fight in the UFC, and he's fought kind of all over England fight circuit and Bellator, Supremacy Fight Challenge and what have you. But as I look through, I don't recognize any names except one, and he took a loss, and it was Sheikh Congo, and that was back in 2013. But I don't recognize another name on that list, so. Until he hits the UFC, and then I see names that I recognize, and, he's got 1 win and 1 loss, and nothing spectacular happening there at all in either one. Even though he beat Daniel Spitz, it was by decision. So, I don't know, but I'm kind of doing what you're doing. I'm going to lean. I've got Walt Harris. Yeah, like I said, round 2, KO or TKO. So... let's jump on, because I like this next one.
I think that'll be your KO of the night, by the way.
That's your KO of the night?
Yep, okay. KO of the night. I'm going to call that one right there.
All right. Well, up next is the women's strawweight fight with Pro Gonzalez and Poliana Botelho.
Yeah, this is going to be a good one. We watched tape on these girls and studied this one hard. And Right, you had to, and the natural instinct was go Pearl Gonzalez just because we've heard the name, we've seen it before, and
Yep.
she did really well against Cavillo. She ultimately got choked out, but she hung in there and she did her thing.
That was a tough
Missing,
fight with Cavillo, man. Cynthia Cavillo put it on her.
oh yeah,
I mean, for a little girl, dude, that girl brings it hard.
yeah, and Cavillo, I'm calling is going to be the next champ, so
Wow.
I'm real excited about her. That 209 jiu-jitsu is just amazing and it works out for her. And I've always said if you're going to be a chick, you master jiu-jitsu because your odds of knocking a chick out aren't high. So go ahead and take it to the ground. And Cynthia's figured that out and she does away with all of her opponents by submission or decision and grinds them. So anyway, but Pearl Gonzalez, she's coming out of 10th Planet San Diego. She's 6-2. She lost her only UFC fight against Cynthia. Um, this girl still seems to be in the beginning stages of figuring it all out. From what we saw in film, to me, it looks like the boxing basics are there, but she's still doing a lot of things as if we had 12-ounce gloves on. So I don't know. I think that you drop the 12-ounce, protecting your heads with your forearms and doing this. You drop that. You drop the patience. You ramp things up, and you rely more on head movement so you can deliver because she can throw. She really can throw a shot, but yeah, it just seems to still be kind of figuring out things and not going through the steps by any means, but just not applying uh, maybe the level of logic you need to survive at this level. And her opponent, Poliana Botelho, right? Am I saying that right?
Yeah.
She's coming out of Nova União, 28 years old, 5'8", so she's bigger than Pearl, which I thought Pearl was huge for her division. And this chick's coming in at 5'8", and Pearl's 5'4". So, and this chick's 5-1 with 5 KOs. And that's probably what's going to happen here. Just letting y'all know. If you haven't watched tape on Botelho, that's a man beast of a woman. And she's hot, sexy, and beastly. Those are the three things I can tell you about her, and I'm not sure very many women really want to fight someone like that because she does not care if she gets hit, and she wants to knock your block off, which is what explains the 5 KOs. So I'm gonna go Botelho round 3 KO.
Before I say any more, I will find out exactly how I picked this. Okay, so let me give you just a real quick breakdown of that fight between her and Cynthia in from this guy's perspective. You mentioned it. Gonzalez really came at that fight with like a boxer. I mean, that is her background. But I saw that she's tough and she's relaxed when she's in the octagon. She displays, in my opinion, a good defense. She really protected herself from taking a lot of big blows. And what I really like about her is that she applies constant pressure. And she did that to Cynthia the entire fight. She really let Cynthia wear herself out, and then she would hunt her down with big hits. She throws elbows in the clinch, and I thought she had a great first round. But, Pearl was literally saved by the bell because she was caught in a deep triangle choke right there at the end of that round. And it was right at the end. But arguably could have went either way, even though she was stuck in that choke at the end. Second round, that I thought it was an awesome display of grappling and jiu-jitsu by both of those girls. It's a good fight. Go watch it. Third round, both girls were tired, but Cynthia continued to get the better of those ground transitions. Cynthia ended the fight by taking Pearl's back and submitting her by rear naked choke. And I thought that's who I was going with. And you and I watched that Botelho fight, and what that girl displays is almost the same thing that Cynthia does. And that is that as soon as she counters a punch, she comes forward and doesn't just throw one, doesn't look just for the big bang overhand. She comes with a barrage, and that's what impressed me the most. Is if this girl comes out here in her debut and does as good of a job as I was seeing her do in those, I don't know what the hell division that was we were watching, but I just remember watching two of those fights and thinking if she has that same tenacity, she's gonna probably overwhelm Gonzalez. So I said, okay, who knows? Let's put it in her hands, because I saw a girl like Cynthia do the same type of thing and wound up winning. I'm gonna take Botelho by decision.
And I think the thing, you're going decision? You're not going knockout?
I'm gonna go decision because I think Gonzalez can. I think she can take it.
Gotcha. Well, the interesting thing to note here, and what we're finding with more of these chicks that can really get knockouts, they find the right division. They're using their weight advantage. They're using their frames, and we're seeing chicks get more and more knockouts. Go look at last week's fight or not last week, but the week before last week. What fight did I say? It was the wrestler versus wrestler / just pressure. Oh, Andrade. Go look at Andrade versus, who did she fight? Gadelha?
Yeah, Claudia Gadelha.
Yeah, go watch that fight. Pressure breaks pipes, and if you can apply that enough into somebody, you're gonna break their framework. And to me, it looks like Pearl is very set in her framework. She's not willing to change what she's done in boxing. If you flustered that with the shots that we've seen Botelho throw in her past fights, Pearl's going to break down. You can't take the volume and the strength that this chick's bringing at you. I mean, I'm serious. She's something to worry about in the future. Like if she can develop this skill, she brings the Nova União mindset, which is, I'm going to break you. I'm going to break you down. One hit at a time, you will break. So, yeah, I think you're good. I think I feel pretty comfortable with the newcomer on this one.
All right. Easy enough then. Then we move on to the lightweight division with Lando Vannata versus Bobby Green.
Yeah, so Bobby Green, 31 years old, coming out of Pinnacle Fighting Systems, 5'10". He's got an extensive record, 8 KO wins, 9 submission wins, 6 decision wins, 2 KO losses, 2 submission losses, and 4 decision losses. This dude's been around a long time. He's considered a veteran. But his last 3 fights, he's lost to Rashid Magomedov in a 3-round split decision, got knocked out by Poirier in the first round, and then lost against Edson Barboza in a 3-round decision. And then before that, the dude was just on a tear from Strikeforce to UFC. He's just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 wins in a row over guys like James Cross, JP Reese, Josh Thompson.
Last loss 2011.
Yeah, right. Yeah, last loss was 2011.
But like you said, lost 3 straight in a row now.
Yeah, which has you worried, but these guys are really good fighters, like True. Magomedov and Poirier and Barboza. I mean, you should just be honored to fight those guys, whether you win or lose. But one thing we see with Bobby Green, and this is another fight we studied a lot of film on, is he seems to, he's always there. Mentally, he's always in the fight. You won't beat him mentally. But there's so many mistakes made in the back half of the second and the third round, like big mistakes that if you fought top 5 guys, which imagine that, you got top 5 potential in his 3 losses, guys at that level will take advantage of the openings Bobby Green leaves. His hands go down. He becomes fascinated with the counter and constantly looking for it, and loads up everything he has to hit it. So he'll literally leave his whole chin out and try to connect. And I just, some guys like that, but that's not fighting smart. That's not using what you do. That's not improving what you do at all. So I'm going to go Lando here. I really like Lando. He's 5'9", coming out of Jackson Wink. He's got 4 KO wins, 4 submission wins, and 1 decision win. And we went back and watched the fight versus Tony Ferguson, and he took that fight on a couple days' notice and almost came in and beat Tony. But Tony, being the master manipulator he is, dragged him into deep waters and put him away with that Bravo choke, the famous Bravo choke. But for Vannata, guys, if you haven't watched this kid yet, you need to. he's something to worry about going forward as well. One of those guys that is just missing 2 or 3 things, and it's going to take him all the way to the top 3. And I like his flowiness. What did we say we really liked? He looks real groovy on his feet all around. So he's constantly moving. The feet are always shifting. You can't get a sense of where he's coming from. He'll throw a switch, high kick, and then if he misses, back it up with a spinning elbow. And if he misses, it's like nothing happened. He'll just throw another spinny ass combination. So I like him. He's real creative. And the other thing I like about Vannata is if you haven't watched enough film, he's great on the ground. He's got sick ground movement and can get up at any time. So he's the real definition of a fighter, and I'm real excited about this kid. And I think he's going to get a very dominant win on Saturday night.
I don't doubt that it'll be a win for Vannata. I don't know how easy it's going to be. To your point, everything you said about Bobby Green is right on. The key, for me, Bobby Green is one of those guys that it's hard for me not to like him. He's a warrior, and then at the same time, he's completely respectful, win or lose. And I really dig that about him. Like, he respects the game itself, and he's really, when he talks, he's really educated about the fight game. With all that said, though, I'm with you, man. Vannata. Cub Swanson gave him his nickname. He comes out of Albuquerque, New Mexico, and I watched the fight with David Tamer, and the first round was just amazing display of striking, kicks, great movement. Showed that he could take big shots, and it was a really good exchange. And I kind of had to use that one to make the comparison here. Bobby Green has proven that he can be knocked straight down with a punch, but he has yet to have an opponent jump on him as quick as I think Lando will. So if Lando rocks you and you drop,
and he will at some point, he's going to rock you,
and that's kind of what I'm predicting. Where Bobby usually tends to. What usually works in his favor is that he bounces back quick and he comes to his senses really fast. But like I said, I haven't seen an opponent jump on him really fast after getting that flash. Lando's real good at that. He's real fast. He'll move in quick. He likes to finish it. I'm going Lando too. I'm taking him by TKO or knockout in round 2. So for everything that you said.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so we move on. Lightweight division, Will Brooks versus Nick Lentz. Let me start this one, man. Will Brooks, high-level grappler. I watched the fight with Charles Oliveira recently, and Charles dominated Brooks. Choked Will out by a rear naked choke in the first round after, a tight clinch, and then turning quickly and like a judo slammed Will to the ground. Turned right around and watched the fight that he had with Alex Oliveira. And Will couldn't make anything happen, In Will's defense, Alex Oliveira missed weight for that fight. Not that makes any big shit difference, but it is true. Ultimately, the fight was stopped because Will was getting the shit kicked out of him. So, either way, that's just the way it went. With all that said, Nick Lentz, 32 years old, from El Paso. He's a fellow Texan. This guy is a grinding wrestling champion. He did start in the featherweight division, and he's a smaller frame at lightweight. I watched his last fight with Islam Makhachev. Yeah, and, that boy trains with the Eagle, so he was bringing high cardio against Nick. And, dude, that was just this past February. And all I can tell you is he smothered Lentz just like any Russian wrestler will. Once they were on the ground, he just wouldn't let Lentz do anything. Being that Brooks is very heavy up top, he carries a lot of weight up there. If he's able to do that and wind up in a top dominant position, I think that's probably where he can grind out that win. I did take Brooks by decision in that, so like that kind of backs up what I just said. I think he's going to grind out a decision.
Yeah, if Will Brooks wants to win this fight, he'll grind it out. He'll use that American Top Team background, and he'll grind Lentz out. We've seen it done before. For me, and this is no offense against Lentz, I mean, he's 27-8 for a reason. He's a veteran of the UFC for a reason, but there's just not anything that makes no wow factors about Lentz when we studied film on him. He seems to have all the capabilities, but just at 5'8", and Will Brooks is 5'11", there's such a size differential there, and Lentz just doesn't look good fighting the bigger guy.
Exactly.
Now that could totally work against us, especially with Ill Will losing his 2 out of his last 3 fights in the UFC, but at some point he's got to turn it on, and I just think Nick Lentz is the guy you turn it on against. And by the way, do you know Nick Lentz traded at American Top Team too?
Yes.
So that's going to be interesting. They both have the same framework laid down by the same coaches, but to me, if you have the same framework, then you probably go for the bigger guy, win or lose. I mean, they have the same backgrounds, they have the same coaches. It's gonna come down to either A, the smarter fighter, or B, the bigger fighter. And Lentz doesn't look incredibly smart and doesn't look big at all. So I'm going to go size here with Will Brooks. I'm not confident, though. I think Will Brooks is missing a lot of things, and he's just trying to put together a strong wrestling pedigree, but sometimes that's all you need to grind it out. And Nick Lentz, we've seen in the past, he can be ground out. So Will Brooks by decision as well.
Oh, right on, man. Well, it's good to know that you believe in my choice there. So the next one we got in the bantamweight division, Tom Duquesnoy versus Cody Stamann. Do you mind if I go first on this one?
Go ahead.
All right. Duquesnoy. This boy is a Frenchman. Fights out of Albuquerque, New Mexico. 24 years old. This kid only knows one direction. I swear to God, it's straight forward. He has relentless pressure. He's a southpaw. Only loss was his 5th fight versus... I don't even remember who that was. I'm brain farting.
Americani in Cage 21.
Yeah.
2012.
His debut fight with Patrick Williams. I just wanted to see what that was. His UFC debut. The kid showed poise, ability to take big hits, refused to allow a really great wrestler to keep him on the ground. That's what impressed me the most. In the last 20 seconds, Tom rocked Patrick with a barrage of knees and elbow strikes and dropped him in the last seconds. The ref almost stopped it. Bell went off. Second round, Tom smelled the blood, finished him with devastating elbows, and won by TKO. This kid is exciting to watch. He's just a whole package, and it seems like all the analysts and the people calling the fight are really excited about the potential of this kid going far in the UFC. His opponent, Cody Stamann, he's 15-1. This kid is a really strong freestyle fighter from Spartan, Michigan. Shows good composure in the cage. He's really relaxed. He looks like he's where he's supposed to be. His debut in the UFC, he fought Terrion Ware, and they were both Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu artists, so it pretty much negated that. This fight, however, was in the featherweight division, another guy that started a little bit heavier and has dropped down, and this could be the key to the fight, in my opinion. The first round in that fight, dude, he had his way with Terrion Ware. In the second round, both of their gas tanks drained a bit, but by the end of the second, it was just more of the same. Cody just kind of dominating his will, literally, by just kind of putting him on the ground over and over. The third was just like the second. Cody won by unanimous decision. I'm concerned with the weight cut for dropping all the way to bantamweight, because he is a large frame guy. The dude's got huge legs. I mean, he's just a big kid, and he's a banger. And this is my prediction. I think this has the potential to be the fight of the night. These two dudes are going to throw everything but the kitchen sink at each other. Mark my words. This is going to be a bloody bang-up fight, and somebody's probably going to the hospital.
Who's taking the win?
Oh, God, man. That's so hard because I just went back and forth on this. And really, I'm telling you right now, I'm not comfortable with this pick at all. This is my least, probably my least comfortable fight to call, but I took Duquesnoy by decision.
Okay. I think you'll be, well, first of all, this was my fight of the night.
Really?
Yeah, out of all these fights, we chose the same fight. And we didn't plan that, guys. Mm-mm. That was totally, that was total chemistry right there. But I saw the same thing with Stamann. When I first pulled up video of Stamann, I was like, this is it. This kid, this is it. He's got it. He's orthodox. He's got the takedown, super strong wrestling. He's built just like a beefy 5-layer burrito version of Cody Garbrandt. So he throws looping hooks in his striking exchanges. I don't like that though. He throws everything he's got from back here, from the shoulders, and you can't do that against guys that are better standing up than you. But man, he makes up for it in his double legs, his slams. He's got great composure, good takedown defense, but he needs work on his feet. And if you think that Stamann is great on his feet, then you don't know MMA. I'm just saying. I think this kid is just a couple steps away from being well-rounded fighters of his division. But I'm going Tom. His huge left kick, I wouldn't want to take that at any division. His elbows from top guard or side control, I wouldn't want to take those from any division. And they're not just any elbows. Like, he drops his body weight into them and slices the face, slices the brow. He's looking to fuck your day up. And he fights angry. He fights violent. Tom's every reason why I watch this sport. And you look for guys like this that are so good at what they do. And it's just like what you said. As soon as I found out he could defend a takedown, well, he's got the timing and precision, and he wants to snatch your soul. So, I had no choice but to go Tom. And once I did the film study, it hit me like a ton of bricks. I was like, as long as he can defend the takedown, he's going to knock Cody out. There's no other way around it. If Cody can't take him down, which Cody relies on that every fight, this one's going to be ugly for Cody. But I think that both guys are going to give it everything they got. It's both men's. That KO with elbows from Patrick Williams, just violent.
You with me?
Yep. Did we pause out there for a minute?
Yeah, we did, just for like about 10 seconds there. Sorry.
Gotcha. All right. Well, we're back. So, yeah, I'm going Tom knockout second round.
Sounds good. Sounds good. We'll have to come back and definitely retouch on that one. I'm looking forward to it. What do you show on your card for the next fight? Because I've seen that change out twice, and right now I'm showing Van Zandt versus Jessica Eye.
What?
Yeah.
I got Dunham versus Dariush. I don't got Van Zandt anywhere on this card.
Huh, how weird. I'm looking at the UFC. The UFC fight card.
Huh.
That's weird. Okay, well, let's just jump ahead then to the Beneli Dariush versus Evan Dunham in the lightweight division.
You want me to talk first?
Yeah, sure. Break this one down.
Cool. I'd love to. We broke this down together Saturday or Sunday night. But Dunham's coming in, clearly the more seasoned veteran, the older fighter. He's 35 years old. He's 5'10". He's coming out of Extreme Couture. He's 18-6. He's been knocked out, or he's got 3 knockouts, 6 submission victories and 9 decision victories. And he's been knocked out twice, submitted once, and he's lost 3 times by decision. He does have 4 back-to-back wins, all by decision, over guys like Rick Glenn, Joe Lazan, Ross Pearson, Rodrigo Dam. And then he's got 3 back-to-back losses right before that against guys like Edson Barbosa, Donald Cerrone, Rafael dos Anjos. Ooh, he lasted all 3 rounds with Rafael. I didn't know that. But, so when I watched film at first, it was another one of those things where I was like, I like Dunham. I like his chin. I like his Nate Diaz kind of style of go ahead and hit me, and I'm going to hit you with 5-6 punches just to take your one. And I felt good there. And then who was it was it Barboza that kicked him in the stomach?
I don't know. I'll look into it. Let me pull it up.
Edson. Oh, yeah, there it is. Edson Barboza, TKO, kick to the body and punches. Yeah. Dunham keeps his hand high. So if you hit him in his leg or in his body, his hand drops. And if you throw the high kick, the hand pops up.
He's a boxer.
Yeah, he's a boxer. So he's leaving little bitty Muay Thai slivers, silver linings of space open. And if you have any type of Muay Thai skill, you can actually work him down in his midsection. And Barboza proved that. He didn't want any part of Barboza after that body kick. So I think for that reason only, I'm going to go Dariush. He's 28, 5'10", coming out of King's MMA. He's got 3 KO wins, 6 submission wins, and 5 decision wins. He's been knocked out twice, and he has 1 submission loss, but he has no decision losses or losses by decision. And he too also was taken out by Edson Barbosa by one of the nastiest flying knees that we've ever seen. But he does have back-to-back wins over guys like James Vick and Rashid Magomedov. And Michael Johnson and Jim Miller. So these are all fights that have happened within the last 3 years. Those are big names. I think he's more on the streak. He's the younger fighter. He's not the bigger fighter, but he is the more precise fighter. And I just think this is too much of a leap for Dunham right now. They're 2 fighters going in 2 opposite directions. One's working to climb the rankings. One's on the back half of the rankings, kind of taking on those suspect guys trying to make it through the rankings. So, I'm going to go Dariush here, and I think film study will tell you everything you need to know on this fight if you don't trust my opinion.
Yeah, that's exactly what we did. We watched even that Edson Barbosa fight. We watched them both fight him back to back, and you touched on everything. So there's nothing else really to be said. I'm taking Dariush by decision. What did you say?
I'm going to go decision too.
By decision too? Okay, well then good. We both agree on that one. And I really don't have anything else to add. I think it's going to be another good fight though.
I think it's going to be a great fight.
Yep. So what do you show next?
I got Fabricio Werdum and Derrick Lewis.
Okay. I'm afraid there's a fight in there somewhere missing because now they're showing Romero Borrelia versus something Faria. So it looks like they're playing around with something. They're trying to squeeze something in there. And I don't know because we'll see. So anyways, yeah, Fabricio Werdum versus Derrick Lewis, heavyweight division. You want to start or you want me to?
You go ahead. I'm a little torn on this. So.
All right. Well, Werdum, I love watching this guy fight. Always has. His last fight with Travis Brown, he had a great first round, but just got gassed out in the second and the third. Ultimately, he did win that by decision, but it was a boring fight, and Werdum, in my honest opinion, looked a little lazy. The fans actually booed that fight when the match ended. Like I said, Fabricio won by unanimous decision. If he doesn't do it in the first round, Lewis should beat him. Before Brown, Werdum was knocked out by Stipe, and we were there for it live. It was the first time that I think the guy had been knocked out, maybe in his career. Key to victory for Werdum is the body kick. That Travis Brown really hurt Lewis, and at the end of that fight, Lewis couldn't even get off the mat because his side and stomach hurt so bad. That was a banging fight between Travis Brown and Lewis. So go check that one out. Derrick Lewis, UFC since 2014, trains at 4 Ounce Fight Club out of Houston, Texas, originally from New Orleans. He's a former heavyweight champ in Bellator and Legacy. He began boxing, and this guy was one of those, has a crazy story, and actually was trained by George Foreman for a while. Of his 18 fights, he won 16 by knockout, I think.
Yep.
I watched his fight with Travis Brown to compare to Werdum's recent fight with him, and Lewis knocked out Travis in the second round. Lewis also holds a knockout over Roy Lee Nelson. Just thought that would be something to be noted. His last fight was a loss by knockout from Mark Hunt, but Mark Hunt knocks out everybody. It didn't happen until the fourth round, so that was after Lewis had become visually, really fatigued and tired. And that was a 5-rounder as a main event. I'm going Lewis in this one because I think Werdum has exposed that he has a chin that can put him down, and I think Lewis is going to absolutely capitalize on that. So I'm going Lewis knockout. Oh, what did I say? So sorry.
Surely you're going round 1 knockout.
Man, I'm sorry. I actually have Werdum by knockout round 2.
You're going Werdum?
Yeah, I am. I don't know. I must have had a train of thought difference. There's something put that over. So go ahead. What do you think?
Well, you might want to stick with Lewis, because I was going Werdum all week until today, and then I switched to the Black Beast. I think Werdum, what we're seeing here at 40 years old, is a gear shift, and it's not a gear up, it's a gear or 2 down. In his last fight with Alistair Overeem, I thought he won that fight, but at the same time, Werdum is showing that he knows that he can't really compete standing up. He ran from Overeem the whole fight, and that's probably what lost him the fight, even though he outstruck him and really hurt Overeem. I think it was in the third or the second, but I'm just not seeing what I want to see out of Werdum anymore, whereas we go back 2-3 years ago, the Cain Velasquez, Mark Hunt, Travis Brown, Bigfoot days, man, he just looked primed for excellence. But now if you can stop his takedown, he's so chinny that it's hard to feel comfortable betting on him. Whereas Derrick Lewis, they say to leave your heart out of this, but number one, I'm from Texas, so I got to love my Houston native. And number two, Hurricane Harvey, Lewis has been out there doing everything he can for his people in Houston, and I've been watching it on Instagram. If you haven't seen it, you got to go check it out, because this man's doing incredible work for his city, and for his family, and for everybody that's affected by that. So I don't know. I think the energy. I really like this dude. He's a comedian on Twitter, and I don't know. There's just something. There's an aura about him. And in the Mark Hunt loss, I didn't really see that coming. A lot of people did, but I thought Mark Hunt just wasn't going to be able to handle the pressure. But then I forgot Mark Hunt is known for handling pressure as long as you're not on roids. But Werdum doesn't handle pressure very well. And a guy, we're talking Derrick Lewis comes into the cage weighing about 275, 280 pounds. And Werdum comes in weighing 245, 250. So big weight gap, big power differential. If Derrick Lewis doesn't knock him out within a round and a half, Werdum wins. Werdum wins. And if Derrick Lewis is going to win this, it's going to be in the first round and a half. Otherwise, he loses. But I like my odds here, so I'm gonna go the Black Beast and keep the home spirit alive here for Texas.
All right, so I agree with everything. As I said, I kind of set myself up there, but unfortunately, my mind is still tweaked on this fight. This is really hard for me.
It's tough.
It really is. However, I'm still gonna stick to my guns.
Let me ask you this: Is it tough because of the age differential, or is it tough from the perspective of knowing, you got one guy who flourishes completely in jiu-jitsu and one guy who flourishes completely in knocking you out? Or is it a combination of everything?
It's a combination of everything.
Gotcha.
I mean, both of those are the two ultimate defining factors for me for this fight. But there's pros and cons on both sides of this for me. Literally, just the words that came out of my mouth just seemed like I should be saying Derrick Lewis for the win. But for whatever reason, when I did my analysis, I even thought, you heard me, I thought I picked Lewis, but I've got Werdum. So let's see what happens, man. I sometimes I fuck myself over.
If you take Lewis on that one, we're only different one fight so far.
All right. Excellent. Next one, we've got Kona main event for the flyweight division for the belt. Finally, we get to see this go down. Demetrious Johnson versus Ray Borg. Yeah. We tried to talk about this once before. And Ray Borg came down with a virus 48 hours before the fight. Fight was called off. Demetrious was pretty let down. And they got this rescheduled, I guess, a month later. So here we are. We're right back at it. And now we can finally talk about it.
Yes, we can. So first thing I'm going to talk about, I'm going to keep this real short and sweet. I know that you think Ray Borg has more of a chance than not. But for me, I don't see it. And here's my reason why. He has... First of all, almost all of his actually, yes, I am right. 1, 2, 3, 4. His last 5 fights have been either wins by decision or wins by losses. So what that tells me is this guy relies on 3 rounds. Well, now you're in your first 5 round. And we know that if you've never been 5 rounds, especially with DJ, you don't know what you're walking into. You're walking on the champ's land. And I just don't see this going well for Ray Borg. I really do. I try hard to see it from a fair perspective, not from you're an 11-2 and DJ you're 26-2. I try not to put that filter in my mind, but every time I try to watch film and every time I look at Ray Borg's record, it just doesn't bode well for this guy. He's got 2 back-to-back wins, decision wins over Da Silva and Luis Smoka. I don't understand the level of difference here is just amazing.
It's not the same caliber.
It's not the same caliber. And let's not forget, Ray Borg lost to Justin Scoggins back in February of 2016, and that was a 3-round decision. And he lost to Dustin Ortiz by 3 rounds. So if you're losing to these guys in the last 3 to 4 years, meanwhile, let me just spit this off. Meanwhile, DJ's putting out guys like Wilson Hayes with submission arm bars, taking on guys like Tim Elliott's 5 rounds straight, taking out guys like Henry Cejudo with a TKO knee to the body in the first round, taking out guys like John Dodson repetitively. I could go on and on. Joe Benavidez knocked him out in the first one. There's too much going on here. And please leave a comment. And if you really think Ray Borg's going to do this, leave a comment and let's start talking shit, because I call you crazy. And I've been called crazy, but I call you crazy in this one. I don't see it. I don't see it. Demetrious Johnson's knocking him out. He's going to catch his first knockout. Round 1.
All right, round 1 knockout. All I'm going to say is exactly what I said while you were talking. The level of fighters that Ray Borg has had are on another level than everything that Demetrious Johnson has seen in the last 3 years. I honestly believe this fight is... this is a fantasy fight for Ray Borg because he doesn't deserve it.
No, he really doesn't. He doesn't. According to rankings and fighting, you shouldn't be here. And you're only here because there's no one else.
However, I have no idea how to call this fight. No idea how it's going to go down. You seem to be pretty confident with a knockout. And I can't see how it's going to go down, so I will just take Demetrious by decision, and
That's fair enough.
It'll probably be a submission. I would, if I had to put money on it, and I would, had to ride on something, I'd probably say submission round 3. But I'm gonna go decision. Either way, I got Johnson. I think everybody does. If Ray Borg wins this by some crazy punch that connects in some crazy fashion and pulls the win off, he will upset the world. Vegas will flip upside down. And, we'll come back just completely.
It'll be doomsday for MMA if Ray Borg pulls this off.
Yeah, we'll come back and literally talk about a whole new flyweight division.
Yeah, oh my God, everything will change from the upside down. That would be crazy.
Well, good deal. So we'll close with that. We'll wrap up the main event in the lightweight division for the interim lightweight championship belt between Tony Ferguson and Kevin Lee.
Oh, before we do that, I got performance of the night bonus on DJ tomorrow. I mean, on Saturday night versus Borg. I'm taking DJ for the performance of the night. So, but yeah, go ahead, break down Tony Ferguson and Kevin Lee.
Well, this is another one. We spent a whole lot of time sitting around doing fight analysis and watching past fights, just trying to figure out where's Kevin Lee coming from. We know what Tony Ferguson brings to the table, and that is a fine, developed ground game, striking game. I mean, he's good from his back. I have nothing. There's nothing that we can really say after you and I spoke, at great lengths about what Tony brings to the table, and we couldn't say anything negative about the guy. So I want to start by saying that. With that being said, the only follow-up to that is, does Kevin Lee have what it takes to beat Tony Ferguson? And I'm just like this last fight. I truly believe that Kevin Lee's only opportunity at this is just some crazy overhand right. Maybe an uppercut that would catch Tony by surprise and somehow make that happen for him. But I just think that's a fantasy world. I just don't think it's going to go down like that. I mean, how have you broke it down?
Well, when we sat and really tried to break this down from an analytical standpoint, the big differentiation between these fighters is one is swam in deep waters. He swam with the sharks for a long time, and he's fought off some of the biggest sharks in the division. Let's just start with his last dominating 5-round performance over RDA. And I think the interesting thing to note there is, I think I had Tony, up 4 to 5 rounds. I don't think I gave RDA a round in that. And I think after that fight, RDA dropped a division because he realized, shit, I can't hang with Tony. I can't hang with Khabib. I can't hang with Conor. Or no, he went up a division. That's right. He stopped cutting weight. So Tony has that type of capability. He's so good. If you haven't studied or broke down his MMA training videos or his workouts, go do it. You'll see the craziest balancing beam, holding a 9-10 pound ball and contorting his body around with perfect balance, working on calisthenics, working on cat-like balance, adaptation skills.
And you said he does this all on his own, right? Like, he doesn't work out of a gym or anything.
Yeah, he doesn't even go to a gym. He does this all in his garage. He eats, shits, sleeps, fighting. And I think that's what makes him so good at 33 years old. By good, I mean 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 straight wins right now in the UFC over guys like RDA, Lando Vannata, Edson Barbosa. He put Edson Barbosa out with a Bravo choke and then turned around and did it again against Lando Vannata. And then he's beat Gleison Tibau, Abel Trujillo, Danny Castillo, Yves Edwards. I mean, the list just goes on and on because the motherfucker is that good. He knows everything. And the other interesting thing to note in this fight is Tony, as long as he has the height advantage, he statistically wins. Almost every time, because when you're 6 foot fighting at lightweight, you can put in, it adds a plethora of different submissions to your game. And now you have twice the leverage that a guy like Motown, Kevin Lee, he's 5'9". So you've got 10, 11, 12. So you've almost got 3 to 4, 5 inches of reach there to contort the neck, cut off the carotid. And he's a professional at doing it. But my biggest thing here, not taking anything from Kevin Lee, because he's one of the strongest guys we've ever had the pleasure of watching in the UFC, and he did beat guys like Jake Matthews, Michael Chiesa, and Trinaldo, like dominated these guys. But he's not the same manipulator and adapter that Tony Ferguson is. That's the differentiation in this fight. Motown comes from a wrestling base, and if there's one dude you don't want to take to the ground, whether he's on his back or on top, is Tony. You just don't want to be down there with him, and because he's going to get you. And I can't tell you what he's going to get you with because he's that creative, but he's going to get you. So if that's been Motown's main key objective, is grinding out opponents, taking them to the ground, sucking the life out of them, and making them freeze. And he has 3 back-to-back rear naked chokes for a reason. He's used to grinding guys out till they quit. Tony Ferguson doesn't quit. There is no quit. He'll get rocked, his knees will touch the mat, and then he'll get up and try to stand, fall to the ground, and then do a little tumble and get back up, and then suddenly he's 5 times the fighter that you just saw 30 seconds ago because of the adjustment process in his mind. He's lived the fight, he's lived the moments over and over and over, whereas Kevin Lee, I only see one avenue to victory, and this is not the avenue to use versus this guy. So it'll be very interesting to see if Kevin Lee had a coach whisper in his ear and go, hey, you probably don't want to go for the double leg versus Tony. Have you seen his anaconda choke? Right. Have you seen his anaconda transition to a Bravo? Have you seen the Bravo to a rear naked? Have you seen the
rear
body
naked
triangle?
To the Darce?
To the Darce. I mean, he'll do it all while you're trying to just simply stand up. I mean, if Kevin's going to wrestle with him, he's going to trap himself. I'm saying.
Well, I'm definitely going to say Ferguson, when we broke this down, the defining factor in Ferguson was that he adapted to every fighter that we watched him go up against. If something wasn't working, he just, and it usually happened in between rounds. Like, he'd go sit down, hear what the coaches had to say, think about it, and come out and just transition into whatever needed to be done to capitalize on whatever the fault, perhaps, that the opponent was making, the style that the opponent was maybe getting punches or kicks in on him. Yeah, I don't know. We're just, again, I think we're just on 2 different levels still. And I'm really not trying to take anything away from Kevin Lee, because
he's going to be great.
Dude, this guy works hard, man. I mean, for everything that you said about Tony, living and breathing MMA, Kevin Lee really does too. I was following the guy for a while on Instagram just to kind of see what he was all about. And he was spending a lot of time at the UFC Performance Center learning all kinds of new techniques on how to rehabilitate his body. And, I've been telling you over the past couple months some of the things that I saw him doing. He's got great potential, man. He really does. And I'm not going to, like I said, I'm not going to beat the guy up because he's got, a really, really great record going, but not at this caliber yet. So that's all. I'm just going to leave it at that. And I know, like I said, I got to say he's not quite there yet. So Tony should have this in the bag.
I think this is a true testament to the old fighting saying that if, wrestlers wrestle, fighters fight, warriors adapt.
Yeah.
And Tony Ferguson if he had a shield and a sword on, he's going to hit you with the shield in just as many ways he can hit you with the sword. And it's the guys that can do that and are skilled from all weapons and all components of the game, those are your champions. Those are the guys that the whole division has to watch out for, because there's no specific weak point, and there isn't with Tony. You have to flash knockout him. He's not going to give up. He's not going to let you choke him out. He's 2 steps ahead of you intellectually, so you have to shut the intellectual knowledge out. You have to fluster him. So Kevin wants to win this. It's going to be the right hand, a big old bomb,
right.
And that's his only shot.
That's what I said, because Tony Ferguson's going to give you front row tickets to your own ass kicking.
Yeah, pretty much on that one. So I'm going Tony, knockout or submission on this one? Huh. I'm gonna go Bravo choke. I'm gonna go round 3 Bravo choke.
All right, good deal. Well, we've wrapped up. I mean, we have spent a lot of time on this breakdown, so we are going to have to move quick through our post-fight analysis from Fight Night 117 with St. Preux versus Okami. So let's just jump in real quick and go right through these fights. And some of this stuff I'm going to remember, and some of it I'm not. So let's just kind of touch on what we do know. Daichi Abe versus Hungai Lim.
The right hand.
Man, I don't even have the results here in front of me.
That was a decision win by Abe. And it was a hell of a fight. If you go watch our previous SDP video covering Fight Night 117, the one thing I saw in film was Abe's right hand was just too much. And he doesn't excel at any other area of the game. He just has this crazy right hand that a lot of guys are blessed and born to use. And we went both. Shadow went Yoongyu Lim, and I went Dache. And I think you went Lim because he was the bigger, more experienced fighter.
Yep.
But the problem was that I had with Lim is that rounds went on, his hands dropped, and he became more sloppy, and Abe just ultimately took advantage of that with the right hand. I think he dropped him twice, once in the second and once in the third. But Lim won that first round. So, yeah, it was a good fight. I liked that fight.
Yep. And we had Shinzo Anzai versus Luke Jamal.
Yeah, if you had money on Anzai, you cashed out.
Yeah, that was crazy, man.
I don't know what happened, and if you guys think we have it wrong, then just feel free to let us know. But I had Jamu up 2 rounds.
I did too. We both looked at each other like, what did we just see a different fight? Anyways, that one went weird, but we both had Luke. Anzai obviously won by decision.
A unanimous decision,
yeah,
not even
unanimous.
A split.
Exactly. It was crazy.
So I don't know if that was Japanese judging, or I don't know how to explain it.
It was in Japan. He had the crowd behind him, that's for sure. All right, next fight was Sayuri Kondo versus Chanmi Jian.
You want to touch on this?
Yeah, sure. You went with Jian on that. We both really didn't know a lot about these two fighters. We soaked in as much as we could on both. I went with Kondo. I just thought that she was going to squeak it out, and literally she did by decision.
Just squeaked it.
Just squeaked it, because that could have went either way. And so
split decision.
Yep. Next one, we had Murano versus Nakamura.
Another one, if you had Nakamura winning that, the Japanese judges gave you that fight. I did not see that fight.
It was another decision. Murano got robbed. That's all I'm going to say about that one.
I didn't even give – it was a split decision, and I didn't even give Nakamura a round. So, I don't know. Once again, win in Rome. Yeah. So, next fight is Teruto Ishihara and – no. Next fight is Jacier da Silva and Yuta Sasaki. You called this one to the T, so I'll let you go ahead.
Yeah, man. Honestly, remember we kind of fought back and forth on this one. Sasaki had the size differential, everything going for him. I just went with experience for Maja. I got lucky. For Maja, took it by decision.
I don't think you got lucky. I think you.
Oh no! He submitted him. He submitted him in round 1. My bad.
Right.
My bad. I'm thinking of the next fight. My bad.
Yeah. No. I think you called that. I think you called exactly how that was going to work. I just didn't want to believe that the size could be negated that quickly just by having really good fundamental jiu-jitsu, and that's all it was.
That's all it was.
What
went to the
fight.
ground, wrapped it up.
Yep. So next fight was you got a win there, I got a loss there. Teruto Ishihara versus Rolando Dai. That was an incredible fight. You want to talk about it?
Yeah, well, this is the one that I was thinking that went all the way to decision. I had Ishihara by decision, so I got really lucky on that one because these two just went bang, 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 bang. And I think it could have went either way.
Yeah, you could have given the win to either one of those guys. I think it was just Teruto's first round when he knocked Rolando down. Mm-hmm. That was what stood out to the judges' eyes. So
plus, they're in Japan.
Yeah, so that was a good win on him, and I was really torn on that fight, so good on Teruto. And then we got, Gokhan Saki versus Da Silva.
Yes. You talk about that one. I'm going to pull up and find out who had fight of the night and what have you.
Okay, well, Gokhan probably had knockout of the night for his UFC debut, but I'm not going to go with the hype train. Everybody's like, oh, you got a new contender in town. There's a new light heavyweight that's here to destroy the world. And don't get me wrong, Gokhan, he he throws like he's going to take the world, but he gasses like he doesn't know what to do with the world. By the end of the first round, the dude was on his way out. You could see it in his gas tank. He was just throwing desperate shots. And don't get me wrong, man, he got cornered and connected with a gnarly left hook to Silva's chin, which just knocked him out completely. But Silva had, right before that, the split second before that, Silva had connected with a Muay Thai knee right to his face. And had he not connected on that shot, I think Silva was about to put him out. And so I'm not going with the hype train with Gokhan. There's right. Things you can have all that power, but if you don't have the ability to keep going, and one Muay Thai knee rattles you like that, to where you just start brawling, you're not. That was in the first round. We didn't even get to see a second or third round of this guy, and I don't think he would have had it. So, knockout of the night for him. But man, I don't.
Yeah, performance of the night.
Right, I just don't see him going crazy far into the division. I see too many holes with all that strength. What do you think on that one?
I think you're exactly right. There was. I think we both picked Gokhan though.
We did.
I can't remember how we picked it, but all right. So, anyways, we move into Takanori Gomi versus Dong-Hong Kim.
We called that exactly how it went.
Gomi was on his way out, was he not?
Yep. Should have never been in the fight. Took one shot, TKO punches, stun gun, or the maestro for the win, Dong-Hong Kim.
Yeah, that honest to God, man, Gomi shouldn't have even been in there.
I don't know what he was doing.
This should be it for him, though. I think that somebody had said that when he was climbing out the ring, that somebody had said that if he lost, he was done. This
has got to be it. You got to quit. You got to stop at some point. If not for yourself, for your family, just stop. Just quit.
Because, Kim knocked the shit out of him in round one, and it was over with.
And that was that. Moving on to the next fight. Big win for me, a big underdog win. It was Jessica Andrade versus Gadelha. You want to touch on this?
Well, man, you kind of mentioned one thing that stood out to me that you said was just the bulldog mentality of Jessica Andrade, and really that's kind of what pushed her through. She won by decision, and that honestly, man, I mean, those two gave it hell. They took fight of the night. If you want to see one amazing female fight that will literally leave, I mean, it marks the standard for a female fight. Go watch that one if you didn't get to see it.
Yeah, Andrade. She is the pit bull of that division. I said it once, I'll say it again. She just is so dominant from every area. There was one spot in the fight where I got worried. We all did, when Gadelha grabbed the neck and was cranking. And I think I looked at you and was like, yeah, you're not going to take Andrade out like that, though. You're just not. You're not going to take her from the neck down. You're going to have to get on top of her and grind her out and make her tired. And instead of Gadelia using the wrestling, it went opposite. Andrade used the wrestling on her and sucked the energy from her. But I felt bad for Gadelia by the third round because I didn't even recognize her. She's covered in blood and splits and nose halfway crooked. And
they beat the shit out of each other. Bottom line,
it was so bad. I mean, there's one of the bloodiest chick fights I've ever watched. And Gadelia had Andrade bleeding in the first round, so It's almost like Andrade came back out in the second. I was like, "Fuck you, man! I'm gonna put it on you this round." Sure enough, like 50 elbows later, Gadelia was sucking in air. So, but yeah, good round for Andrade, and watch out for her because she's probably gonna fight the winner of Rose Namajunas and Joanna.
Yeah, well, good pick.
Thanks.
Last one, main event: Ovin St. Preux versus Yushin Okami. Again, remember, Yushin Okami took this on short notice.
Yep, and he paid for it like we said he would.
For it.
He didn't pay for it in the way I thought we would see, though.
No. That was crazy, dude. That ended in an amazing choke.
Yeah, what was the name of that choke?
Von
Do you remember the name? The Von Fu choke, yes. The Von Fu choke. There's only 5 of them that's ever been done, and OSP has done 3 of them now. And that was the third one. So if you want to see a really cool, unexpected submission,
first round,
that Von Fu, first round, minute 50. And that was the first fight that there's never been a UFC punch thrown. Did you know that?
No, I didn't know that.
There wasn't one punch thrown. Everything was OSP applying pressure on the ground to choke him out.
Crazy. Well, he also shared the performance of the night with Gokhan Saki.
Yeah, just when you perform a technical submission like that and sneak it in, Okami never even saw it coming. So, that was really impressive. Go check that out. That got a lot of attention just because you never ever see that choke done. And plus, you have to have the body anatomy to do it. You have to have super long arms, so much so that you have to wrap around the shoulder area, the neck, and the armpit. So,
it was awesome.
Yeah, that was really cool.
It was really cool.
And he shut Okami's lights out. Like Okami was out.
Yeah, he put him to sleep.
Yeah, staring at the stealing out. So yeah, go check that one out. It was really cool.
It was good. So that wraps it up. We will be coming back here, probably not next week since we do have a break in UFC. However, we'll be back that following week. I don't have the date in front of me, but we will be doing our fight predictions for UFC 216.
Fight night 118.
216. Oh.
Yeah, October 21st is UFC Fight Night 118, Cerrone versus 2.
Yeah, but we got UFC 216 Saturday, October 7th first at T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas, and we'll definitely be watching that one, and then we'll have the fight night that you're talking about with Cerrone and Till for October 21st, but we'll get to that one when we get to it. You're rushing us along. And this UFC 216 is going to be really good. So, with all that being said, is there anything else you wanted to add tonight?
No. Just, make sure to go ahead and listen in if you're still hanging with us. Make sure to leave that comment in about the fight of the night. We both called it the same. And that is for a signed Michael Bisping card. And that is for UFC 217 Bisping versus St. Pierre. It's going to be a good card to have coming into that fight. If Bisping beats St. Pierre, the worth of that card only goes up. So I'm kind of jealous. I want that card. I want a shot.
Well, listen, to close, right now we're looking for someone to come and join our team, give us some help with audio-visual side of the show. Preferably someone who is also knowledgeable in MMA and UFC, but at the least a fan of the sport. We've got a lot of killer ideas for our show. We do lack the technical ability to put it all together. So again, we're looking for help. Let us know if you're interested. We'd be happy to talk to you and see if we can work something out. Tune in before every UFC fight for our predictions and analysis and become a part of the MMA family. Till next time, be healthy, live to fight another day. To close, we thank you for joining us. We're SDP on MMA, Follow us on Twitter at SDP_MMA, on Facebook, Instagram as well. Leave us a comment. Let us know you're out there. We'll be happy to respond. And thanks again, man. We'll see you in a couple weeks. Until then, like I said, live to fight another day.
Good luck, everybody.